Hola, Gringos y Gringos, and welcome to
Gringos are us.
Expats with a Plan.
I'm Mark.
I'm Gina.
This week, the money that we spent in Puebla. Coming up next.
Welcome back. Well, this is it. This is our cost of living wrap up for the month that we spent in Centro in Puebla. It is also where we're going to give you at the end pretty much our assessment about where Puebla lands in the
Falls on the list.
Falls on the list. Like, did it make the cut? Yeah. But I like to start off by saying that, of course, I have this forever goal of trying to keep our budget less than $3,000 a month in total for everything that we spend. And we learned pretty early on when we're paying for Airbnb or VRBO in this case, that just isn't realistic because at least half of it is actually fees.
It's a pipe dream.
Yeah.
It would be nice, but with wants and needs for what we have for Airbnb, that's just really never going to happen.
And if you want to know why we spend so much on Airbnb, please see down below. I will provide the link on the video why we're spending so much on Airbnb.
There's a reason.
But I did try my very best in the beginning to keep this budget at less than $3,000 a month. And the reason I picked that number is I figured worst case scenario, that's what the two of us together on Social Security would have to spend.
Yeah. I mean, ballpark-ish it was.
Yeah.
And inflation has taken a little bite out of that. And Airbnb raising rates, that's definitely taken a bite out of it.
Yeah, I know on one of our lives coming up, we're going to talk about a little bit about what Airbnb's done lately. So, but not this time.
No.
Okay, well, in December of 2024, and actually it was kind of like mid to end November and the beginning of December, we saw an average exchange rate of 20 pesos to the US dollar. So that's what we're going to base the calculations on.
And we were happy to see it at 20 because it's been uglier than that.
And so here it is. Our Airbnb cost us 70,267 pesos. That's pretty high. That is 3,513 US dollars per month.
Now, location. I mean, we were right there just a few blocks away from the cathedral.
Yep.
And it also was a very nice Airbnb. And just to be totally transparent, it wasn't Airbnb, it was actually VRBO that we used on this one. But
the rates
it was on both platforms, and it was within a few dollars the same.
We just preferred VRBO in this case because at the time VRBO would let you just put down maybe 50% and pay the rest when you were close to arriving, whereas Airbnb will charge you the whole amount up front. Although I've seen lately they've been adjusting on their site as well. But
market has driven a change, maybe.
Yes, I think so. It is important to note that this particular Airbnb was a full-size departamento. As he said, right in Centro, steps from everything that we wanted to do. Cab rides, if we wanted to go a little further, weren't that bad. But to be honest, we had ideal parking.
Yeah.
The parking situation was perfect.
I mean, we got our own key fob to a secure parking lot that was underneath all of the condominiums, and we had an assigned space. And so it was like, boop, just pull right out, and away we went.
We were not responsible, not even for the drinking water.
Nope.
They supplied us garrafons anytime we needed it. They even supplied us weekly maid service.
Yep.
And when she would come in, she cleaned. She stripped all the bedding, the towels, washed everything, scrubbed, mopped. She would even do dishes in the sink that I didn't even intend for her to do. So
I had to stop her she was about ready to clean my ashtray, and I was like, don't worry about the ashtray. Don't worry about it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so look at it from that perspective. We paid no utilities, not even water, and we got maid service.
I mean, we paid more, we got more.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a very nice unit with a great view, as you guys have seen some of the Puebla videos already.
Yes.
The view from where we were at was like, okay.
Oh, and I'll put the link right up here for the video if you want to see the Airbnb itself and get a tour. It really was quite lovely. One of the nicest ones that we have had. And you know, for the money, it should have been. Now, in comparison, and also keep in mind that inflation hadn't hit it just yet, our Airbnb in San Luis Potosi was around $1,400. It was $1,417. Much smaller.
And lots of stairs.
We were on the 4th floor, no elevator. So it was a lot of work getting up and down. And then in Playa Car, our most expensive stay to date, that was $36.84 USD per month. Also small.
Yeah, that was
Very comfortable and stylish. Not in a horrible location in general at all, really.
No, but it was in Playa Car.
But it was in Playa Car, and of course everything around us was expensive in Playa Car. So, you know, it really is all about location, isn't it?
Yeah.
Conveniences and location. That was just to give you an idea in spaces. You know,
Yep.
San Luis Potosi is Central Highlands, and Playa Car is out there on the water on the Yucatan Peninsula. So
Riviera Maya, you're going to pay for the premium.
now, for activities this month, we did spend some money because we took some tours. We took a big tour.
Atlisco and Jamula.
Yeah, and that was a whole day. That was
And I do mean a full
a
day.
full day from sunrise to beyond sunset. And
Mark
then
was dragging butt at the end of that one. That was like, wow.
and then, of course, one day I put together this great itinerary of museums that we're going to go visit on foot right in Centro, and we didn't even hit half of them because we had done another full day just going to about 4 of them. So our activities for the month were 2,740 pesos or 137 US dollars. And that included a full day trip to 2 Pueblo Mágicos and a bunch of local museums in Centro.
Yeah, some of them had some small entrance fees that, 60 pesos, 70 pesos. So it was very affordable in Centro area.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very reasonably priced for the smaller museums. Our groceries, what can I say? Most of the time we average between $500 and $550 a month.
Like clockwork.
It doesn't really matter where we go. All right, so insurance. The only 2 insurances we have are our Nomad Safety Wing healthcare insurance and
Our car.
the car. And we pay for those in US dollars. The healthcare insurance is like a catastrophic insurance, sort of like glorified traveler's insurance. That gets paid monthly. The automobile insurance is a Mexican auto insurance policy that gets paid yearly. So that came to 7,472 pesos or $374.
Yeah.
We recently just renewed. Auto insurance did go up a little bit.
And the health insurance also went up.
I think by the time this video is coming out, though, we're looking at the increase.
But if you missed the last wrap up, if you go, wow, I thought it was 273 and you now see 342, it's because when we reached that year level, it was like, hello.
It went up for everyone.
Yep.
I did verify. I wanted to make sure that they didn't raise the rates because I had broken my arm and had a huge claim. And so I went in like a complete stranger on a totally different browser. And no, all the rates had gone up. It's just that because we're older, our age bracket saw a higher increase than somebody who maybe might be 30. So although all the rates went up, they go up even more the older you get.
That is true.
He's older than me. He's higher than me. Medical expenses were really pretty inexpensive. We did buy some things that we basically were muling to his mom that we're not counting because that's just something we were getting for her. As far as we're concerned, we're just talking about a few prescriptions maybe. And
A couple of maintenance drugs that
that's it.
we need, and that's it.
303 pesos or $15 for the month.
I'll take that.
Yeah. And what about those personal services, honey?
Let's see. What did we have done there? You got a haircut.
And you got a haircut.
And I got a haircut.
And we basically tipped our housekeeper. And we tipped her pretty nicely because every week she did an awesome job.
Yes, you did.
And then the very last week we were there, we kind of gave her the tip for Christmas. So it was a little bit bigger.
And she earned it.
And she gave Mark a hug for it.
Yes, she did.
So that came to a total of $11.50 in pesos or $58 for the month.
Still not bad.
Nope.
I think the majority of that was probably tips for her.
I know you're right.
Because your haircut, we went.
Yeah, our haircuts each
What?
equaled about $9.
Yeah.
About $9 worth of haircuts each. And so the rest of that was just tips.
Mm-hmm.
She was good.
Yes.
Restaurants. Well, we did eat out a lot. We had one relatively expensive meal that cost us about $50. Otherwise, everything else was way less than that. In some cases, like $5 each or something.
Yeah, but normally we try and do one splurge meal in just about every location. Mm-hmm. When we were getting to Puebla, it was also starting to, without the money in the bank, was starting to go, maybe we shouldn't go here or there. But you know, normally sometimes we do $100 dinner someplace where we just go, okay, let's go have a few cocktails, get a good steak. And so we cut it in half to 50 this time.
Yeah.
That way she can get her insects, you know.
Of course, I have to try the chicatanas. I was trying to get escabeches, but they weren't in season, so that's what I got. You know what? Those types of experiences are priceless.
You're doing a MasterCard commercial?
I am.
Yeah.
So restaurants for the month, 3,440 pesos or 172 US dollars. We went out pretty often. We went out a lot.
I mean, that breaks down to about $45 a week. And $50 of that came on one. So,
That's true. Yeah, not so bad. Transportation costs seem really high this time. That's going to be because we had quite a long drive. We were stuck on a highway for a long time.
It wasn't that it was a long drive.
Well, it felt like it.
Distance-wise.
Right.
That was where we got stuck on the carretera for 4 hours. It took us 2 hours to move from one side of the OXXO parking lot to the other.
Yes.
So.
And, you know, we never really paid for taxis, cabs, or buses. We drove anywhere we needed to go. So we did have to buy gasoline, and we did have tolls on our trip to get to Puebla. So I include that here. So that was 125 US dollars or about 2,500, 2,502 in pesos.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have utilities. So utilities here is going to be things like our cell phones, our internet services if we're paying for them, which we haven't had our Starlink turned on now for over a year. We've been very lucky that we've been in places with good internet, and there's no need to have it if we got good internet. So I haven't turned it on. So all this really is our AT&T plan in the US that runs around $145 a month, and then a $10 a month Telcel. Yeah.
Phone and phone. I mean, that's...
You know, the differences between the cost of the two is astounding. But then there is also a difference in the type of services that you get as well. So.
Well, and the two phones versus one, but yeah, it's...
Yeah. So that was 31.17 in pesos or 156 for the month in US dollars. So we always have to kind of go over this and just say, what does this never include? Our wrap-ups are never going to include things that we think most people would not have. You know, this is particular to our situation. So no cigars, no streaming services, no gifts, no mail forwarding fees, no subscriptions for anything. It's none of those.
Oh, we don't include cigars. I thought you were saying no cigars, like no more. And I'm like, we're about to have a revolt here.
We're going to have a discussion about that. You know, a lot of people don't smoke. There's no point in including it.
No.
If you know you do, then you know you have to add that extra to your budget. So what does it include? Well, it includes our accommodation. So our Airbnb and VRBO, activities, groceries, insurance, our medical stuff, personal services, restaurants, transportation, and utilities.
That pretty much sums up a month.
This one's going to hurt a little.
I know.
Our grand total for the month.
101,864 pesos. Ooh.
Which is about.
Almost 5,100 US dollars.
Almost 5,093. And that is about $170 per day.
Yeah.
I know, it's a little painful. So what does that mean exactly? Well,
it means thank God Gina got a job while we were there.
Yeah, you know, we paid for what we got.
Here's
the deal though. It's Airbnb, or in this case, VRBO. It's not a realistic rent. And I absolutely made the effort to talk to our Airbnb host and find out, what does a place like this normally cost? And he said, a place of that type in that location will run between $1,500 and $2,000 per month. Now, I have to assume that that still includes,
I would think so,
all the utilities and stuff.
And to be fair, I mean, let's just split the difference. If we were to say $1,750 a month for that particular unit in that particular location with all that, as far as the amenities and everything else, that would prompt some thought. I mean,
yes.
I'm just...
No, it's true. And I did notice that up on the roof, every solid piece of anything on top of that roof is covered with a solar panel. So, you know, and they've got automated lights that automatically go out, so they're not on all the time.
Even in the garage. I mean,
Yes.
when you start driving down, it's boop.
So they're not spending a lot on electricity for that apartment. So, I mean, if you think about it that way, literally it would be all inclusive. It would be the gas for the water heater. It would be the electricity.
Yeah, it just needed a head on the bottom floor.
Yeah.
That just was...
You know, if it was rent and we're going, let's say it was 50%. So around half of what we paid, roughly. Which, what did we say we paid? I forget already.
Well, I mean, that comes out to just about that $1,750.
So the grand total that we paid with Airbnb was $101,864, and that would drop down to...
all the way down to 66,730 pesos.
That's insane, right?
Yeah.
And that grand total in US dollars of 5,093 drops down to
33.37.
And then finally, instead of $170 a day,
drops all the way down to 111. We had lunch with one of our subscribers, and he lives out by the mall, and that is the area where you can actually get the deals as far as good housing at a much lower price.
Yes, and it's Angelopolis, so Angelopolis.
Angelopolis.
Yeah, that is the area where a lot of the medical centers are, and there's a lot of high-rise apartments out there. And yes, you can get more reasonable deals. You're not in Centro.
No.
But it has its own kind of walkable area that you can...
It has, well, typical Mexico, it has its own little area that is built around. And the mall is basically almost that area that's built around. And then there's across the street, got the hospitals. Then behind the mall is where there is a Jardine back there. And then they have the Ferris wheel that doesn't work.
That's true.
Yeah.
And then we also met a subscriber who, you know, he and his husband literally were living like one or two doors away from us.
Right next door in the next building.
Yeah. And although, yes, they were paying less than what we were paying, the trade-off is we had really nice furniture, hardwood floors, high-end appliances in the kitchen. It was an elevated experience.
And it wasn't quite to El Tejar's elevation as far as roominess and almost like a gourmet kitchen, because I don't think we're ever gonna find another kitchen like that one in Mexico. That was wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, but no, it did have a lot more room than most of the kitchens that we have encountered so far.
From my perspective, I feel that $1,700 a month for rent for that place without having to worry about utilities for where it was located, it was worth it.
No, I agree.
Yeah, I do. And I know that that's a lot. I do realize that's a lot in terms of Mexican rent. But it is the center of a large city. And if you were to try to rent in the center of, I don't know, Manhattan, or somewhere in Chicago or Atlanta or any large city, you are going to pay a whole lot more than people living outside the city.
Location.
It's all about that. So in the end, I think we have a new winner for the most expensive place we've ever stayed.
Mm-hmm.
San Luis Potosi, the total monthly expense to live in San Luis Potosi had cost us $32.14 Airbnb rate plus our expenses. And then Playa Car used to reign as the most expensive. It is not anymore.
It has been supplanted.
It is now
By just that much.
Puebla has surpassed Playa Car. But I have no regrets.
No, I have no regrets going there.
No. So now we have to talk about our thoughts on Puebla. Puebla, like any large city, has large city vibes in some cases. The only annoying thing that I ever felt about Puebla was the fact that people didn't want to share the sidewalk in general. And it had happened a lot, and we weren't the only ones to notice it.
No.
Other people have mentioned it too. I think that's just big city. I don't recall that being an issue in some other places we've been at all. I just noticed it there. Okay. Other thing about big city, they love to honk their horns. They do the same thing in San Luis Potosi.
Yes, they do.
I don't notice it as much in Querétaro, but I think as cities get larger and traffic gets more congested, you get more of it.
As people get more frustrated for the lack of pavement that they want, I think the horns come out.
But you get used to that and you don't really notice it anymore. Like, honestly, if this had been in the United States 4 years ago and I heard honking like that all the time, I would be so irritated. No, you just get used to it.
Yeah.
You don't really notice it. The sirens going by because you're in a city and everything is just the way it is. But I loved it there. And I'm telling you, I don't care about the volcanic ash. It didn't bother me at all. I loved it there. I could live in Puebla. I would be happy in Puebla every damn day of my life. I like the food. I like the neighborhoods, the Jardines, the churches, the museums that we didn't get to see. We didn't even scratch the surface, guys. We didn't scratch the surface. But...
Well, I mean, my take on Puebla is it's bigger than what we anticipated. Mm-hmm. And it almost feels like two cities. Mm. You have the vibe in Centro, mm-hmm. and then you have the vibe out there on Jalapelas. And it's sort of there's a little bit different feel between the two. It's an interesting city in the architecture, the history, and everything else. The fact that they have put some, I don't know what the right way of describing it would be, small mercados between streets.
Oh, yeah.
That you just sort of, all of a sudden you walk up and there's an entrance and you're like, holy crap, there's a whole mercado in there.
You just stumble across them.
I mean, and there's a lot of very, very intriguing things to do and see in Puebla. Mm-hmm. But The ash may not have bothered her, and I'm not sure if it's the ash or whatever it was. It kicked my butt.
It did.
Normally, I'm the one that's always turning around to make sure she's still behind me. And there were times she was across the street, down another block, and I'm lagging. And it was consistent.
And I wouldn't have left him behind so far behind if I had known. Normally, I'm like the person with the short legs trying to keep up with the guy with the long legs. That's typically how it is. And I just kind of walk and I turn around and he's nowhere. I'm like, where's Mark?
And it's not something that we can go, okay, maybe something on me has changed because we went to downtown in the Centro here in Querétaro, and it was right back to, can you slow down? Can you slow down?
Yeah.
So whatever was going on, it could be totally coincidental that something affected my health while we happened to be in Puebla, or it could be something that Puebla affected me. Don't know.
I don't think it would be the elevation because
the elevation is pretty much equitable between here and there. So it's not an elevation thing. I mean, I don't know if it's Popo that was like,
that ash, you never know.
But it was a noticeable lack of energy and the ability. I mean, I was sluggish and
we didn't have hills. I mean, the road, it's flat. He just had a hard time.
Until we got to Chamula, and then there were hills.
We're not talking about Chamula. We're talking about Puebla, and it was flat, and he was struggling to keep up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess, I mean, unless we were to make another trip to Puebla just for fun to see, I guess that kind of eliminates Puebla. I guess we have to admit that.
Well, from my perspective, that's a big NO, because it's one of those where it's, well, again, we could go back and maybe it was just I had a month there where, okay, something affected me. I don't know.
I really did like Puebla. I'm not even kidding. And yeah, I noticed it. I noticed he was having a hard time. He was tired all the time. He was not able to keep up. He took naps.
Well, that hadn't changed, but
and maybe part of that tiredness also was because he was having a hard time sleeping on those beds. They aggravated his shoulder. Your shoulder, I think it was.
Yeah. I mean, and we actually reached the point where, because it was a queen bed, it was like, all right, I'm gonna try. I went in the other bedroom and just had room to maneuver and roll around, and I don't think it helped the shoulders, but it did help the quality of sleep because we're used to having the room, and I think both of us were sort of.
Yeah, we were kind of tensed up, trying to, to
not
compact ourselves.
Awake the other one during the, oh God, I'm gonna roll over. So.
Yeah, but I mean, that's it. It ranks really high for me, but this has to be something that the two of us agree on.
Every other category, it ranks very high in.
Yeah.
So again, that could be something we could go back and go, let's see if this occurs.
I've been trying to find us places that are located in Centro, and I think that's part of why I loved it so much. I loved that
This is the first time that other than Valladolid, which, I mean, you couldn't get far from Centro and Valladolid because.
Kind of Merida, because we were within the walking
Well, that's true, Merida as well. But yeah, this was Centro.
I mean, this was in the heart, man.
Yeah.
This was right 2 blocks from the cathedral and the Zocalo. And so, yeah, this was really, it was everything I wanted a stay to be. I loved it that much. And I didn't mind the city noises. And I loved looking out at night and just seeing the city all lit up.
No, because the city got very quiet after a certain hour. Yeah. I mean, it was real quiet.
And I was into the food. Of course, we were always out there looking to try out new things. I love the fact that they actually had a Oaxacan market in one of the jardines. So if I was missing my chocolate and missing my mole negro, there it is. I just go get some, There was a cigar store we could walk to.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, I think he was a little more expensive, but then what do you expect from a small, shop?
Yeah.
Everything we wanted was walking distance. I mean,
Other than groceries, that was the only time that we really.
yeah. I mean, and I guess if we really, really wanted to go walk and hunt down the Mercado, we probably could get some of the groceries, but not all of them. And there was an Oxxo nearby, so there was that too.
Once we figured out the right way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's it. That's the wrap up. Loved, loved, loved Puebla. It is the most expensive Airbnb stay we've had. But again, location,
Yeah.
location.
And we could have spent about that much here.
Yes, we could. More.
I mean, even more, yeah, because we did find one in Central here in Querétaro that really ticked a lot of the boxes, but yeah, it was
too much.
We were like, not for 7 months. I mean, this we went, okay, 1 month. So
Puebla, 1 month. We can bite the bullet for 1 month. And so the experience made it worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there you go. That is our budget, cost of living for Puebla, and our final impressions on whether it will make the cut or not. Right now, it's looking like a not. I think we need to take another trip and just see.
Yeah, figure out where you're going to squeeze that in.
I don't know.
I know.
All right. Well, thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, please subscribe to our channel. It helps our channel grow, and give us a thumbs up. We do appreciate it. We are Gringos R Us.
Expats with the plan.
Remember,
We're doing it. You can too. And right up over there are some more videos
that you might want to watch. Hasta la próxima.
Adios.